Hello, everyone. I am back with you today to talk about the next step in the visa process or the marriage process or the 90-day fiance process, and that's called the adjustment of status or AOS. Adjustment of status simply says that you are adjusting or changing from a particular visa class to a permanent resident alien class. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make that happen. And you have to meet a lot of guidelines and a lot of stipulations. Now, I will tell you this process of adjusting my new wife from her visa class to the permanent resident alien class is probably just as hard as the initial application or petition for the K1 visa. There's a lot of paperwork that needs to be handled. There's a lot of forms that need to be completed, and unfortunately, the information out there is just all over the place. And I think it's a case of all of these lawyers and all of these services trying to appeal to the masses, but there are so many categories and subcategories of visa classes that the information is just muddled and murky. And it took me over 2 weeks of constant internet searching to find the bits and pieces of the information that I needed that pertained to my situation. Now, my situation is my fiance came over on a K1 visa. That's a fiance visa. That means that when she arrived, she had 90 days, or we had 90 days to get married, or she'd have to go back. Once we got married, we now had to sit down and figure out this process to adjust her status from one thing into another, from temporary to permanent. Now, as I said, there are a slew of classes, of visa classes out there. And I came across information for each one of them during my research to find out what was the best way to get my fiance, now my wife, to get permanent resident alien status or her green card. And the information was just all over the place. So what I ended up doing was doing search after search after search after search, and then grabbing bits and pieces of information and moving it into my own personal document. And then I used that as a resource, and then I created a list of YouTube videos that were very, very helpful. They were specifically about my visa category class. Now, one of the biggest things that you'll hear as a K1 visa adjustment of status applicant is that you have to file form I-130 or I-130A. And that was the thing that stumped me the most, because the form for the adjustment of status is called the I-485. I-485. And that form, along with the biometrics fee, costs over $1,200. The I-130 costs an additional $535. So in my mind, it didn't compute that I would have to pay $1,200 plus $500. That didn't make sense. So I kept digging and I kept searching, and I ultimately found that all of the lawyers out there with YouTube channels and blurbs about their services, um, they all speak not from the K1 visa class, but they speak from a more general class in which you must fill out Form I-130. I did not do so. Everything that I put together said all I needed to do was file the I-485 form. Now, there are some supplemental forms that go along with that, and those are, let me read them to you so I don't get it wrong, the I-693, the I-765, and the I-864. Along with that, you also need a copy of your I-797 and your I-94. It's a lot of information, right? But I'm going to tell you that not having to complete I-130 I-131, and then there's I-130-A. Made my life a lot easier. It took me a week of research, then the entire weekend, and then another day and a half to assemble all of the documents and proof and evidence and letters that I needed to have in order to submit a completed I-485 form, which is the adjustment of status. That's what this is all about. So, along the way, filling out all of this information, I did find out that there was a better way to get the information that I needed. That searching on YouTube, searching on the Google was not the best way to gather the information that I needed that pertained to my particular class for the adjustment of status. The best way, I'm going to tell it to you right now, it's a big secret, so don't share it with anyone. But the best way is to simply use the USCIS website. And when you use that website and you use the form, you navigate to the form that you need to complete. There's always an accompanying form that is the instructions. I spent a half a day reading through 44 pages of instructions, little by little, page by page, to make sure I understood one, what other information I needed to gather, and two, what was the correct way to present that information. Checking the USCIS website made the process much more simple, and I wish I had done that in the beginning. But you live and you learn. Now I'm better off for it because I learned a lot about these various classes of visas that are out there, and each different path that each individual or their sponsor, or their family members need to take in order to become a permanent resident alien or get their green card. So that's my tip for you today. It's a short video. Always check the USCIS website first. Follow those instructions. Read the instructions every single page. If you have problems understanding those instructions, or if you have problems obtaining the information that they require you to get in order to submit a completed application, that's when you need to sit down and fully discuss whether or not you should hire a lawyer or a service to complete that form for you. All right, good luck.
Leaving work. I'm going home to have something to drink, and I don't mean water.